I obtained a divine mark of creation that could transform endlessly. Not only could it manifest techniques capable of resolving everything, but it also granted me immense elemental power, a water shield strong enough to withstand terrifying flames. Earlier, I discovered 3 individuals who could trigger changes in the storyline, but among them, only 2 truly required my attention. The first was Jaden, my teammate. His personality was a mix of arrogance toward the weak and fear of the strong. Yet, the system window hinted at his growing potential, something I couldn't quite ignore. When the 2 squads temporarily merged, both captains introduced their members, but Ryu Yonha, for some reason, even mispronounced my name. At first glance, Jaden didn't seem unusual. The real concern was Sven from the 3rd squad. He was a foreign student enrolled in the Cube Academy. Like many others, he admired China Yun and dreamed of becoming one of Cube's top talents. But reality was cruel. Compared to the gifted prodigies at the academy, Sven was painfully average. Repeated failures left him drowning in inferiority and frustration. In the end, to obtain power, he sold his soul to a demon in exchange for strength. Of course, that was supposed to happen later. But just now, the system window warned me. During this dungeon raid, Sven might awaken as a demon earlier than expected. Lost in thought, I was suddenly interrupted by Jaden, who forcefully gripped my shoulder. He reminded me not to let my guard down in a dungeon. I shook off his hand without hesitation. He gave a knowing smile and muttered that I had a terrible temper. No wonder there were so many rumors about me. I clenched my fists in anger. At Cube Academy, my reputation had sunk to rock bottom. Most of it came from class Chien Kun. They spread stories that I abused my position as a Cube cadet to threaten people outside. Some even claimed I spent weekends indulging myself at entertainment halls. I knew it was all the work of Shin Jong-hak and his group, but ironically, thanks to those rumors, I had gained a lot of SP. Still, in this squad, I was treated as if I didn't exist. That was probably because of the gossip too. While we waited for the teams ahead of us to enter, the others chatted happily, all except me. Soon, it was Team 8's turn to step into the dungeon. Just as the instructor had said, the interior was enormous. After walking for a few minutes, everyone stopped. Ahead of us, the path split into multiple routes. Ryu Yeonha and Jaden began discussing which way to go. Jaden wanted their skilled archer to sense the safest path, but before he could decide, I spoke up, suggesting Route 6. My interruption immediately annoyed Jaden, but to my surprise, Ryu Yeonha sided with me without hesitation. She declared that while I might not be reliable, at least my eyes were sharp. Thanks to her support, I got the outcome I wanted, a route that would intersect with China Yun's squad. If Sven really made a contract with a demon here today, Nayeon alone wouldn't be able to stop him, and if something happened to her, the entire storyline would spiral out of control. In the end, Jaden reluctantly agreed. Our squad advanced toward Route 6. All the way, he kept mocking me under his breath, accusing me of showing off. I simply replied calmly, "You should focus more on how to deal with the monsters ahead." The moment I said this, everyone looked confused. The path ahead was pitch black. Nothing was visible. That's when another archer from our squad stepped forward and fired a light arrow into the tunnel. As the glow spread through the cavern, a mid to low ranked monster appeared, a salamander. The cadets quickly shifted into formation. Jaden asked if anyone could use water element attacks. Since salamanders were fire type, I remained silent. The divine mark within me had limited mana, and I needed to reserve it for the critical moment. No one else in the squad possessed water magic either, so Ryu Yonha suggested a frontal assault. Without hesitation, she charged at the monster with her whip. The salamander opened its jaws to unleash flames, but the very next instant, Yonha's whip lashed out, binding its mouth shut with lightning speed. The warrior class cadets followed up with relentless strikes. In less than a minute, the creature was brought down through flawless teamwork. Yonha's growth was astonishing. The sparks of lightning crackling along her whip were proof that she was already on the verge of awakening, her eyes about to open to a higher realm of power. Just as I was marveling at her strength, she urged the group to continue forward, but in that very moment, she accidentally triggered a trap. I reacted instantly, shoving her out of harm's way. She avoided the damage, yet Yonha turned to me with a cold glare, demanding I let go. The killing intent in her eyes made me retreat quickly. Before she could lash out at me, another cadet discovered an arrow embedded in the wall. That was why I pushed her. I had seen the system's warning. The arrow had been laced with a potent neurotoxin. Compared to Yonha's narrow escape, Sven from the 3rd squad wasn't so lucky. A poisoned arrow struck him, and China Yun, carrying him on her back, was visibly shaken. She couldn't understand what was happening. During the battle just now, a sudden arrow had come out of nowhere. This wasn't supposed to be part of the training. Nayun realized something was very wrong. They had been told this was a man-made dungeon simulation, yet the monsters here were far too strong, unnaturally so. Meanwhile, my squad continued fighting waves of creatures. After the salamander, more fire-breathing beasts appeared, but working together, we managed to handle the low-level monsters without much danger. Soon, the area was nearly cleared out. The only real threat so far had been the poisoned arrow trap. Just as we were preparing to push forward, A sudden wave of scorching heat rose behind us. The deadly presence made my heart jolt. I turned back. The salamander we had slain was resurrecting. Flames swirled in its jaws, ready to incinerate everything. Before anyone else could react, its attack had already been unleashed. Yonha and the others had no time to defend, but I had sensed it early. With all my willpower, I activated the divine mark, transforming its power into a barrier of water. The wall of water surged forward, absorbing the salamander's final blast. The creature, already close to death, was completely extinguished. When the last flicker of fire vanished, the salamander finally died for good. Such destructive power left Yewol and the others in shock. They couldn't believe that monster had been just a training puppet. Even without being burned, everyone could still feel the suffocating heat from its flames. Just when I thought it was over, Jaden exploded in anger. He shouted, demanding to know why I hadn't stepped forward when he asked for a water element user earlier. I tried to explain that it was the effect of equipment, but he didn't believe me. Thankfully, Ryu Yonha stepped in and stopped the argument. Someone then asked why there were real monsters here. Yonha speculated that this dungeon was designed as the most ideal training environment, so it wasn't impossible for real monsters to evolve inside. She quickly urged everyone to move forward. Still, she was troubled by my words. Equipment that could grant elemental magic wasn't something a cadet like me could afford. I couldn't even buy a simple Desert Eagle, so how could I possess such high-grade magical gear? Among the freshmen, aside from Kim Soo-ho and Shin Jong-hak, there wasn't anyone capable of imbuing gear with mana attributes, yet here I was, not only aware of the Mountain Tyrant's weaknesses, but also able to wield elemental powers myself. Why was I deliberately hiding my strength? Yonha couldn't help but recall what Chai Na-yoon had once said. Could it be Kim Haejin really was a demon? Meanwhile, Na-yoon's squad had found a place to rest, but in front of them loomed a terrifying creature, a molten lava golem, likely the boss of this dungeon. Its overwhelming presence made the third squad falter. Defeating such a monster already seemed impossible. On top of that, Sven desperately needed treatment. No matter how they looked at it, the fight couldn't be won. Though no one abandoned him, Sven's heart was filled with guilt. He blamed himself for carelessly getting hit by the poisoned arrow. Since the day he entered Cube, he had never once succeeded in anything. The constant failures left him in agony, his mind torn between shame and despair. And in that fragile moment, a long, seductive voice whispered in his heart, "Form a contract with me, and I will grant you unrivaled power." It was the one thing Sven desired most. He couldn't stand being useless anymore. He couldn't bear looking weak in front of Na-yoon again. Unconsciously, he accepted the demon's contract. The very next second, he screamed in unbearable pain. His teammates panicked, unable to understand what was happening to him. As Sven's frenzy grew beyond control, Na-yoon shouted for others to restrain him, but fear had already paralyzed them. They were frozen, unable to move. The lava golem, which had been searching for prey all along, finally found its target. In an instant, its devastating attacks rained down, unleashing chaos upon the squad.